Good evening, all you lovely soul inspired beings out there. It's been a few weeks, and this time it has. Normally I say it's been a while when it's only been a few days, but this has been about 3 weeks since I've posted and gone live in the group. I hope everyone is doing well. We're just going to clear that space for us right now. Whenever you're receiving this information, and just take in that sage. It's burning nice. Also, I'll have a little candle going just to represent the light that's within us all, the light that's in your heart, the light that's of your spirit, and the light that we're all connected to. So I hope all of you are doing well. Yeah, I've been in just transitions lately, and changing things around. I did a little backyard project, and now I'm in the middle of reorganizing my home. So it's spring, coming into summer, and as many of you know, it's a beautiful time to clear out things and look at things and what's the right words? Let go. It's a good time to shed, do a little ceremony of gratitude, and maybe a completion of relationships of some kind or attachments of some kind. And when I came on today, I held off. I've been getting the nudge to come on about 2 days ago when I received my Christ Consciousness Self-Mastery Oracle deck, which I've had ordered for quite some time, and it's finally released. And it was created by Amanda Ellis, who is an energy intuitive channeler, color therapist. I've also studied with her in her Metatron color healing courses. And I've been acquainted with her work for, really about 6 or 7 years now, around the same time when I was beginning my own awakening, or maybe 2 years into mine, back in 2014-ish or so. Anyhow, that was my introduction. Not her, but around that time is when I began doing self-mastery courses, getting acquainted with the sacred rays, the deepening my education in the chakra systems and the colors and what they're all related to, and the attributes, ascended masters, opening up more to the angelic realm, and guides and things, and shamanic studies, which all kind of wove together in this beautiful, I'll say, tapestry of my own education and awakening that has supported me up into this point and will continue to do so and evolve. So the nudge I kept getting, because I was attuning with this deck, I've had it maybe a week, if that, maybe a little less. So for me, it was important to attune to the energy of the deck, attune to, again, the Christ consciousness energy, which I attune to quite often, daily, really. And it's just in me now, in the way I go through life, and continues to evolve. I certainly have ways to go in mastering that energy and embodying it. However, I do notice a softening, a clarity that comes when I am fully in that energy, even if it's just for a moment, as I walk this life. The reason why I've got the nudges, because I pulled a couple cards off camera about 2 days ago, and I thought, wow, how fitting, when I was shuffling the deck, and 4 cards came out, which I'll show you in just a second. We have the temptation card of the monkeys: hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil, right? And it also says moral compass. Moral compass. And it came out along with Peter, denial and weakness. Okay, and so those two came out together. Oops, as I drop one. And then, why this is important, excuse me, why this is important is because probably 2 days prior to me pulling from this deck, Amanda Ellis did a YouTube channeling, and these two cards came out when she pulled for herself. And I'll get to the other two cards in just a second. So at this point, I'm not really going into the intuitive and energetic readings of these just yet. But as I prepared my lunch that day, I let the cards just sit, and they were in this little altar space I created on the table with the Lumerian seed crystal that I have here behind me. And that's quite beautiful. And there's a reason for this as well. And a little thing of water that came from like 7 different sacred water sites across the US and different parts of the world. So that being said, that'll all tie in a little bit. And I didn't come on right away because I just wanted to pause. I'm like, what does that mean, right? Because when we start to see things in repetition, or again we hear the same message, or the pulling of these cards, that means it's something for us to look at. And for me, I feel it tends to go more into the collective, because we're all part of the collective energy and consciousness of life, as well as going into your own microcosm of you and how your immediate world is operating as well. But remember, this is about self-mastery, going inward and direct and into your higher guidance here for your highest good and soul evolution. So that's why I decided to come on. I will leave a link to her, Amanda Ellis's YouTube, where she talks about these cards, in case you want her perspective as well, and what has channeled through her, as well as her own intuitive guidance, because you never know what may resonate for you, and I don't want to limit that. You go to what resonates to you at this current moment, and it may not resonate later, or it may expand. I don't know. I'm not you, but I don't want to be in the way of that too. So, yeah, because what comes through me might be a different message, right? And then, so as I pulled these cards, I decided to give myself some space from it. And I'm like, well, I'm hungry. I'm going to go eat lunch, make myself some lunch. And I had this little internal dialogue with Archangel Metatron. As some of you know, he's one of the guides I connect with more and more. And we'll go ahead and spray his attunement energy. Oftentimes he's represented with a beautiful orange color. So if you're in your dreams, or you feel that you're feeling and seeing that color often, it might be that representation of him coming through and reminding you he's there. He also governs the ascension process, so which I would refer to as your soul returning to the light within you in connection to source, as you have this inner evolution happening inside you, and the whole solar system and planet evolving, the ascension, your evolving, awakening, okay? So he can be a resource to you, and remember, it's also energy, and that energy lives within you. So you are not any different than Archangel Metatron. You have that ability to obtain that level of frequency and vibration within you, but you have to go through steps and build your ability to hold that energy and frequency and embody it and operate from that space. He also is like keeper of the Akashic records, and I'm meant that I bring that up tonight too because it holds your soul history there among all history. And Akasha means it's like the purest state of energy before it's imprinted with any of your human experience, and then becomes distorted or laid over, I'll say, or less pure. So when you access your Akashic record, you're coming from that place of the purest energy possible available to you for the highest guidance available through your soul history to work out a situation or lesson that you're going through that's for the highest good of all parties involved, right? So the reading, when someone reads your record for you, or you learn to read your record because you've held a certain level of, I'll say, detachment from your human experience, recognizing that you're a soul and you're able to kind of look over yourself, your present day self, and go, okay, what wisdom is here for me? How can my past experiences on a soul level and human life, human experiences from the soul level support me in this walk, in my current moment, situation, or something I might need or want clarity in. So I mentioned that, just keep that in your back pocket of knowledge, right? So I'm preparing lunch, and I ask Archangel Metatron, what else is here aside from having the message again, these same two messages come out from the same deck that recently has been released in, the US and Canada. And so we have the denial and weakness, moral compass and temptation, monkey see, monkey hear, monkey, speak no evil, hear no evil, do no evil, right? And then surprisingly, this other response came through, is that, oh wow, all those holding this deck of Christ consciousness, and it goes beyond the deck, but they're communicating to each other. It's creating a whole nother web of Christ consciousness energy that's interwoven as I say we, those that are stepping further into the Christ consciousness energies and living through universal laws and applying it to your life. Because it's one thing to read about it, but if you're not living it and applying it, then the change will not occur for you, or you'll be resisting it in some fashion, and it'll show up in your life in some way. But you're probably at that level of awareness where you're not even aware that that's occurring. So those of you that are stepping further into your Christ consciousness and are on that Christ consciousness path, whether you use this terminology or not, but you're recognizing you're on your path of light and you're gaining higher qualities, and it's showing up in its unique way specific for you and your soul, you're part of that web, of that new template. I'll say new, but the template that is taking over, replacing the current template of humanity. So I was recognizing that those that hold this deck is also creating an energetic web or template, because we're all connecting to the same energy. And so part of me is like, wow, I'm curious on where people live in the world that hold this deck in their home and that actively also work with the deck, because the energy of the deck will continue to hold. Just being in your presence, you will receive the energy from that deck, or as anything, like anything sacred, or really anything in your home, because everything's energy. But when okay. So keep that in mind on what you're weaving, right? What are you connecting yourself to? And perhaps now it will go into these cards before I refer to the book. What perhaps are you weaving and not looking at, right? You're afraid to look at it. You're afraid to look at it. You're afraid to tell yourself. You don't want to hear it. You're in denial, right? So when you're in denial of the things that perhaps you need to change for yourself, or do, or take action on, for whatever reason, perhaps you're embarrassed, maybe you feel guilty, maybe you feel that you won't have any forgiveness for the things that you've done or have chosen to do. It inhibits your evolution. Yeah, I just had something clear when I burped. It gets in the way of you evolving and embodying more of your higher qualities. Because the moment you can face yourself and really go into that place, that higher look down on yourself, right? Almost coming outside of your body, looking down while you're still in it. And going, oh, what's here for Gina? Now I'm talking to my soul, going, what's here for Gina right now in this? Soul, what guidance do I have for her? That identity, that personality, as Gina is evolving into her higher aspects. Right? So you can have that conversation with yourself. Because this, once you can face yourself, then nothing has you. You're no longer attached to it. You're no longer attached. It's not that you don't own, like you don't, you're taking responsibility for your actions and choices. And once you do that and you go through and the consequences of those choices, right? May you reap what you sow, kind of thing, or what you put out returns to you. Giving and receiving. Then you can move forward. Then you can learn to, because you can forgive yourself, right? And no longer be waiting for those to forgive you. Or seek outside forgiveness, even though people may have some discordant thoughts about you or your choices, or even if they celebrate your choices, right? Because that can still be an attachment to that gets in the way, like, of you moving forward, right? And being present and in the moment and in your heart, right? Because working with Christ consciousness energy is awakening of your heart. It's highly sensitive, highly emotional, and it can feel uncomfortable, and it can also feel extremely joyous when you're in the energy of love and continue to expand that energy. So if you could come to yourself through that energy of love, and remember, all beings in their own divine time will go through this process, so you're not alone in it. You're just at different levels. And that what you are going through is an organic, energetic, biological, ecological, spiritual evolution that's happening physically and through all your subtle body energies and cellularly in your molecular body and your direct connection to source energy. That when you allow that energy to guide you in your life and go through that act of surrender, to recognize, oh, now I am working and living life through universal law, through the divine will, through source, through what God, don't get hooked on the word, because Carolyn Mace refers to this word as actually as love, because we don't have a name for it. You can't describe love. You can't really describe God. So we give it a name. Our mind has to give it a name. So And I paraphrased how she said it. It was in one of her lectures. But through her perspective, she felt people use the word God instead of the word love, but that's what we're talking about. But we're talking about your soul evolution into that frequency and vibration, so it's held in that all the time. All the time. So what do you need to turn your face toward? Look yourself in the mirror and perhaps no longer be afraid of it. Right? There's nothing in you that you need to be afraid of when you come at it from love and with the willingness to shed light on your shadows. Because both are working together to return you to your higher aspect, to let your light shine, to harmonize yourself, to come into harmonics. So with that being said, you're beginning to move out of duality consciousness. And life gets easier when you do that and recognize, oh, that's really what's happening when I say, oh, all these things are happening for me. You'll perhaps have a deeper understanding of what that process means as we're speaking that. Oh, it's happening for me, right? Because our words have power. Our words have power and vibration to them versus what's happening to me as that victim energy. But when you say, well, oh, it's happening for me, you now step into empowerment. What do I do? What can I do? Right? What can I do? How do I want to be and walk through this? How do I want to walk through this? How do I want to walk through this? You can call on Jesus or a similar energy for guidance. That Christ energy within you, the Christ energy within you, because that's a level of attainment that Jesus, among many others, embodied. Okay? Laid the blueprint for us all. It's a map. A pillar of light is a map. The cross is a map of your divinity. So this is coming into whatever energy is coming with the summer solstice. We are being prepared, those of you that are ready, particularly those of you, I feel we're all light workers, whether we realize it or not. But those that actively really know, and then they recognizing, oh, their purpose here and in body, their purpose and embodiment is to work with light and be light. Or they're gaining an understanding of more and more what that means to work with light and become it, right? It's an embodiment is the word I like to use as we're embodying that in our physical human body. Whatever it's coming, I haven't really tapped in fully to the summer solstice energies, but it's becoming a little more clear to me why I'm going to Mount Shasta during that time. I just knew I needed to be up there, and I'll be going up there. Only God knows what I'll be experiencing. In any event, prior to me going, I am going also through this process again. What do I need to look at myself? What do I need to speak to for myself? What do I need to no longer be afraid, but shed and let my ears hear me? And I don't think I'm going to go to the book just yet through the channeling of these cards, the intuitive pieces. I'm just going to be guided with Metatron and Jesus, and also Master Adama, who is a high priest out of Telos in Mount Shasta, beneath Mount Shasta, because he has something to share with us too later on as we go further down. But we've also have that Lumerian energy, because we're coming into also the relationship with yourself and the relationship with others. And this kind of going more into the romantic relationships. But we were talking about fear. This card came up too when I pulled it. So faith over fear. You can cope. You can cope. And this ties back into what are you afraid to cope with? So when you're in fear, that means you're lacking in faith. If you begin to lead your life through more faith, through more of the universal laws, you can face anything. You can face anything, and you can be able to see anything. You'll learn how to share appropriately, when to use your voice, when not to. You'll be able to hear deeply as well, right? And that it means also being able to hold the lower vibrations. And I don't mean to hold them in your being as you're letting go of holding those, but you'll be able to hold that space as you witness others that are in lower vibrational states than you are, and frequencies, and operating in the three-dimensional or lower or four-dimensional way, as you are raising into your fifth-dimensional way. You'll be able to recognize when you're in those lower dimensions, because they all live within you, okay, which I've said before, and you'll be able to recognize that, but bringing in your higher qualities and come from that fifth dimensional or above energetic qualities that reside within you as you walk through life. And then, since it's all happening for you, you can live with faith versus fear. Doesn't mean that fear is not going to pop up and be within you, because we do, we got to be safe too. It has a brief purpose, right? But when we stay in fear, we cannot move forward. We cannot evolve. You are limiting your divine sovereignty, because you are a divine sovereign being. But when you live in faith, nothing can control you. Your denial can no longer control you. The weakness of that goes away, right? The weakness of that goes away. Hi, Gus. Hi, buddy. The weakness of that goes away. It's not. It's even though it's still going to exist within you, whatever choices you've made in the past. But you won't be holding on to the fear of it, the resentment, the shame, the guilt, or whatever else you might be experiencing. That will go dormant. It'll go dormant. You'll no longer be feeding that, right? It reminds me of that Native American story of the two wolves, light and dark. Which one will you feed, right? That inner conflict. So what story do you want to feed about yourself? And you want to let go of the stories. Even let go of this whole personality, right? The whole personality of who you think and tell yourself that you are, and the imprints that have been laid on you as well. Like, what kind of man are you supposed to be? What kind of woman are you supposed to be? Like, all those things that have been laid on us. It's not right or wrong, but things that sometimes we unknowingly are trying to live up to, that's running in our operating system, that you're like, that's not working anymore. That's not working anymore. I don't need to be at work 40, 60, 70 hours to make a certain amount of money and income and be away from my family. You're missing out on your family. For what? For what? You can't relive events, right? You can't relive events. So for those of you, maybe I'm talking to someone right now who's considering going back to work, and just because maybe finances are tight. or maybe you miss having that abundance of cash flow. But think about what the consequence may, it doesn't always going to be this way. If you're going back to your old way of working, what the consequences, why did you leave the first time? Right? Because that happens. Sometimes we get tired on this journey and this walk, and we're leaving life a different way, and we get tired, and it's easier to go back to the old way, your old patterns. But where might fear be? Where might the fear be leading you back, versus returning to faith? Return to the faith that you will get through this time. You can find other ways to bring in money and be in your flow of abundance, your universal law of abundance, and put your energy there, and even ask for the universe, okay, release this fear from me as I step back into my faith within myself, within the universe, within Christ. As you return to that place, it'll reignite that universal law of abundance into the flow which you want to put your energy into, right? So I'm not saying don't go back to a full-time job if that's what you like to do. I'm just saying bring in your higher guidance and wisdom as you make that choice, and feel in your body what's driving the choice. Is it bringing you joy and excitement already? Right? And I'm not talking about that nervousness about starting something new, where excitement and nerves can be the same thing. But are you afraid, right? If you're doing it because you're afraid, then that may not be the right, the best way, I'll say. It perhaps isn't the best way to start something out of fear, or because you're in this fear of lack, or this fear of even that you aren't going to be successful working out your new way of living. So, for example, I'll use myself an example. I tried to go back into working for municipality, and it was really interesting how I'd go all the way to the end point, and then something either out of my mouth or something, and I was not allowed to go back into my old pattern. Because I was doing it for the security, because I was afraid that I couldn't make a living doing it this way, even though doing this is what I love to do and support people through their own journey and return to their heart, right? So the other day I asked again, because I've been just doing the body work, not just, but I do body work, life coaching, energy work, things like that nature, and readings, and sound baths, which I think some of you have seen me post for that, which I love doing those. And I'm all, just give me something part-time that's in alignment with what I'm doing. And then all of a sudden, I got a notification of a job that works for an Ayurvedic health clinic to do massage there part-time. And I'm still an independent contractor, so I'm still, even though I'm working for somebody, I'm still my own boss. And I'm like, oh my God, that actually is turning out quite perfect for me, because it's giving me some more stability and cash flow coming in as I'm continuing to build my practice. But it's not so much building my practice, because there's people here I'm already supporting. But it's giving me the ability to continue the life that I'm really enjoying right now, which is working like 20 hours a week and moving toward that abundance of time, abundance of leisure, abundance of finances coming in, the flow of abundance, the quality time with my dog and friends, and the abundance of relaxation in my body. Okay, so you'll see it's not just money. It's like, what is it doing to my body? Right? So I asked the universe, just give me something. Just give me something. And I was a little more specific on what I was asking for, because you got to be really mindful now. But I let go of some of the resistance to working in a clinic, but it matched my resonance because it was more about healing and propelling the clients forward in their health, and that the body heals itself. And so that's what I'm doing, and it feels great. And it keeps me connected with people too, which I like that as well. But I had to face stuff. I had to face some things. And I also had to be able to say some things to myself and look at things and even hear how am I speaking, how am I saying, where am I in my own resistance to flow, the abundance, universal love, abundance working for me versus, moving back into lack, right? So your fears. So the next card I pulled, let me see if there's anything else, because I know I mentioned Adama, but that's coming more into the next card. Anything else? Metatron, anything else? Oh yes, let me also do the bridge spray. Oh yeah, so there was a theme during this past week where people's knees, when I was working on some clients, the knees were hurting. The knees were joints, specifically the knee joints were aching. And I thought, oh, interesting, 2 clients, same day, the knees. And then normally I would refer to the body of the map, and it was something I studied during my shamanic practices, shamanic studies. But something in me just said, no, just listen and let the intuition come through. And so that's what I did. And so part of this right now is like, what might we kind of tie into? What is in the way of me moving forward? What's in the way that I have to look at or see, do, be in awareness of, even in the world, that's limiting me moving forward, and it's showing up in the limitation of my joints, of my knees, right? So what is showing up for some of you that's standing in the way of you moving forward, to take steps forward? Thank you. To take steps forward, right? I know for me right now, I got to re-land because I'm reworking my office space and returning to a home office space, and really contemplating which direction I want to take my work toward. Where do I want to put my more focus and energy into my work? And it means letting something go as well, which I recognize, and part of me is like, actually, oh, that actually may be really nice. And but once I decide that, I'll share that later. But yeah, so what I noticed for both clients on the left side. So the left side is the female side of the body, the feminine energy. Where might we, thank you, be in resistance to that divine feminine aspect come through? The divine energy, divine feminine energy come through the body, so it can be you can have harmony and union within your divine feminine and masculine energies coming in. Where might you be in resistance to that energy? That is what came through as I sat there, like, what is happening? Why am I pulling these cards? What's the theme for the week? What do people need to potentially hear right now? And that is also one of the pieces that came through. What steps are you not taking because you're holding on to something in the past and you haven't reconciled it within you, which gets in the way of your sacred divine union. This is the fourth card that came out, and I have been contemplating sacred sexuality, healing, and connection, right? But I also want to invite you to bring this back into what is within yourself that you are not healing and connecting to. Because if you're not fully connected to within yourself and your own inner union with your divine masculine and feminine energies in union with source, directly to source. Hi Gus, I know buddy. It will get in the way of your ability to have sacred union at this point, or to move, take steps forward and to come into union. Sit down, good boy. He's getting restless because it's late at night and he wants to go to bed. So what might be getting in the way of that? What are you not doing? What steps are you not taking? What are you not acknowledging about how you are in your personal relationships? Now I'm talking about your romantic relationships, your sexual relationships. How have you not evolved? Is there something within you, men or women, because the divine feminine energy and masculine energies, all the energies live within you, within every being. What's within you that you have not resolved? Even if you've had past, I don't want to be insensitive to anyone who's had, maybe adverse experiences, like unwanted sexual acts, have been harmed in some way. My heart really goes out to all of you that have experienced that, and that's forever can really impact somebody. So I don't want to be insensitive to those of you in when I'm speaking right now. So just know that, okay? But we also want to get to this place of how can I harmonize these experiences in a way that's no longer limiting me from having my divine sacred union and sacred sexuality with another partner, with my love, right? Because it doesn't mean you won't have other partners. It maybe you're currently in a marriage or committed relationship of some kind. And this isn't just mean men and women, like heterosexual. It's any romantic, loving relationship. Okay? What steps do you need to take within yourself right now that you know you can do and look at within yourself and go and really own it? Really own it. How? In what way are you not being whole within yourself? What are you not talking to yourself about? Are you placing expectations on your partner that are unrealistic? Because you're trying to have them fulfill something, some need in you, because you're not feeling it for yourself. That's codependency. That's heading toward codependency. When you go into things with these other expectations and lacks, and this is where we'll go into the Telos book just a little bit, and this is where Adama comes in, and the fifth dimensional, I'll say, protocols, as they call it, from Telos, and how they're step into really sacred union. And this book was written, oh gosh, when was this written? Through Mount Shasta Light Publishing, and it was written by Aurelia Louise Jones. And I've had these books for quite some time. They're not, you come across them when you're ready to. So this is where the Lumerian energy comes in, and this energy of water as well. And so there's no doubt why I'm going to Shasta, because that energy, all this energy is held there, and the water there is very giving and very loving, very cleansing. And Mount Shasta itself is very gentle and easy place for you to visit and be, meaning energetically easy. Unlike, say, somewhere like Sedona, where it can be a little more hot and fiery, Shasta is very much, for me anyway, is the water and air elements that I really connect to. But when was this originally written? Well, there's copyrights in 2004 and again in 2009 by Victoria Lee, 2004 from Aurelia Louise Jones, but I think it was written a little earlier than that. The English publication was in 2004. So in any event, it's been around for a while. And she also channeled the 7 sacred flames, for those of you that are, they're helpful starting points if you're going to begin to work with the rays. And, but let me skim through this, because there was something about the sacred union and sexuality in here that you may find supportive, right? So again, ultimately it's your relationship with yourself that needs tending to, because when you're happy and whole on your own and joyful, you're also happy and whole and joyful even when you're in relationships. And this is about going into a whole nother evolved evolutionary step into your relationships, where you're coming from the heart every time and your energetic body is fully connecting. All your chakras are open to each other. And I read these a number of years ago, and rereading this certain section recently, this evening, I was like, oh wow, it gave me a whole nother understanding of one of my past relationships I had in the way we connected, because we were connecting with our chakras open. And then, so to have that brief window of that experience, that other level of the puzzle kind of filled in when I revisited the book, and I'm all, oh, that's what I experienced. And it was a totally different experience than any other partner that I had. And what we were together for a few years. And but then you can easily notice when you are not in alignment, because when you go into sacred union and sexual sacredness, you're in alignment with your heart and with the source and with God, your higher self, and each other. Both of you are in alignment. And so coming together, bringing your bodies and energetic bodies together, is a highly sacred act. And this is where I learned this and came to this knowing a number of years ago, as I was even preparing for a retreat. And for me, I naturally chose, as I was studying, to just be celibate. And it was just a personal choice. It was something that I was like, oh wow, okay. I even had a dream about it. And I said, oh, all right. And that's not something that's difficult for me at all. And but it was in every way, like not even masturbation, right? And that was fine too. I was like, oh, okay. And what I realized during that time, it was also this commanding of the physical body, the physical desire and sensation and pleasure, when it, because we can use pleasure out of alignment. But it was also harnessing the energy, because I was so, at that time, I was studying the 7 sacred flames and working with the Ascended Masters. And actually I was going into 12 rays at that time as well, all 12 rays that were available at that time. And so I realize now, as I revisit this, these memories are coming back of like, oh wow, I was harnessing all that energy within me as I was building these attributes within me and working with the attributes of the colors and the flames and the fires that we are and that we can embody as I began to operate totally differently in all my relationships. And this wasn't even, this was just work relationships, friendships, my relationships, how I showed up. But it was also this devotion. And now I'm saying this was for me, but it was a reminder of this devotion I had to my practice, my spiritual practice as well. Right? And perhaps this too is a reminder for some of you, like, what am I not tending to with my own daily spiritual practice? Why is it so hard for you to even do one thing consistently and commit to your spiritual growth, your spirituality, just to yourself? Why are you not committed? What are you afraid of? Right? What are you afraid of? Let your fear go, right? Are you afraid of people perhaps having judgments on your spiritual practices, on that you're stepping into a new aspect of yourself and maybe not accepting you? And that can be hard. That can be, right? Sometimes we want to keep it close to your heart because this is a very sacred union that's occurring within you as well. So sometimes it's important to keep it close to your heart, right? And kind of know when to talk about it, know who to share things with, and maybe even ask your higher self, Christ, Source. Go to your Akashic record if you know how to do that, for guidance on how do I share what I'm doing, right? You don't have to share everything. No, just know from deep, have that knowing of like, oh, I don't need to share that piece, but I can find the words to be like, I'm just stepping more into my personal growth or spiritual practice. What words best fit your audience, right? Just like know your audience. It kind of reminds me, I recently had a conversation with one of my brothers, and he was like, I'm just decided I'm okay missing this party because I don't want to be around all the drinking. I'm making a different choice for myself. And he's like, to not drink. And I thought, wow, how wonderful, right? But he knew he could share that with me. He might, I don't know if he would be able to share that with other people. I don't know, I'm not him, but there's a possibility maybe he wouldn't, right? So it's knowing your audience again, right? And being willing to take those steps, right? Take those new steps instead of allowing the old ones to hold you back, so you can support your sacred sexuality in this case, in the case of this reading, but also the divine union within yourself that enables you to step further into sacred sexuality with yourself and with others, right? Because even the choice, like I'm talking about, to be celibate, that is a highly sacred choice as well. It's just as sacred as choosing to be in partnership and be in the act of sex with another person. That is very sacred, highly intimate. And as you are stepping into more, you're becoming more evolved in your relationships, or heading that way, you will begin to operate differently even in the way you court somebody. Right? I know for me, like, I like fine dining, I like nice things. I've never been a huge gift person unless they had purpose, right? For me, that's just me. Like, I prefer time. I prefer your time. That's probably why I like going out to do an event or something. But it could even just be hiking. It doesn't have to, but I know for myself, through my experiences as well, that energy when someone's kind of, oh, here's this gift, here, I'm going to start to hold you on a pedestal, a certain way. There's a certain way that is not necessarily out of the love was lacking in it. It was more like, here's what I gotta do. Because then as soon as we were kind of committed, then all that way of adoration and adornment went away, right? It was like there was no effort anymore, no quality time anymore. And for someone like myself, that quality time is what I care about the most, right? So for those of you that speak about love languages, that would really kind of go, ooh, right? But within myself, I got more comfortable in expanding on my other attributes, so I didn't feel that same like, ooh, if someone wasn't spending time with me. But if I'm with a partner, I want to make sure I make the time to spend time with them, especially if I know that that's an important piece, right? It doesn't mean every single waking moment, but the quality of time is what it is right? So this is no different than back to the work scenario. If you're going back to work 40, 60, 80 hours a week, because some people do that, where are you sacrificing it in your relationships? Are you sacrificing your sacred union even within yourself and with your partner because you're not available to even put energy into it, right? So that brings us to Telos and Adama, right? And I'm not going to read the whole section on it because I just want to go to the things that were kind of highlighted. Okay, so with Telos, they're saying that their consciousness is currently much more evolved because basically they'll wait too, as they'll have romantic relationships, and then it'll be this amicable. The relationship may take its course, and it may be amicable in the way they split up and come together, right? And even in the way they decide to bring children into the world, it's very thoughtful, right? So they could be with someone and recognize, no, they're not the one to have the children with, and they'll find the other person, and they'll take time, and it's a very thoughtful and mindful when they choose a partner to bring children and parent children in the world, right? That doesn't mean the two partners stay together, but they parent the children together in that sense, right? So their whole way of being in and out of relationship with each other is completely different, but where we are at collectively. We're taking steps, I say we, but humanity's taking movements toward that sacred sexuality and relationships. However, there's still a lot of distortion in it right now. It'll work itself out over time. So let's see. Curriculum. And I like how this seems interesting to me, this understanding that what we're going through is this evolution of love, right? But they use this word in this, they said they have this other higher understanding, evolved understanding compared to us, or humanity, or collective right now, in the applications of love, or the various applications of love, right? To begin with, the curriculum for relationships is union in oneness, in an embrace of the experience of divine love. For a very long time in your dimensions, I'm just going to read from the book, from your dimensions, relationships have been based on duality consciousness. Now, dear ones, you have become weary of these types of relationships that do not work and do not fulfill your heart's desire. So now we're really bringing in our heart energy, right? And moving that into, we're not just working with our root and sacral chakra anymore. It's being bridged, right? That love energy is coming down into the lower chakras, or you're bringing that lower chakra energy up into the heart. So your heart is really taking the lead here, and you're recognizing that. You're no longer, sorry, that was Gus. You're no longer operating the same way. You're no longer going, oh, okay, that person, okay, makes X amount of money, okay, he's real handsome, blah, 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 and I'm feeling sexually charged. And then you're no longer leading that way and then going, oh, I really don't like them and don't love them. You're actually leading with the heart first, or it's really all at the same time, but the heart plays the primary component. Okay, and I've actually been experiencing this more and more over the last number of years, and I find it to be a lovely way and more powerful way to be in my partnerships with someone. But the challenge is attracting sometimes that person that's in the same resonance, right? So I'll reread this. Now, dear ones, you have become weary of these types of relationships that do not work and do not fulfill your heart's desires. Okay, that's the duality consciousness. So we're moving in, that was a key part I forgot to read. I'm sorry. Unity or universal consciousness. Forgive me, I'm going to back up a paragraph or two. The way we live our lives in Telos does not differ greatly from any other galactic community in the solar system or this universe. We are all living and applying the universal laws which are the same for everyone. So they're living with universal laws and applying them. This becomes very important to us because we are learning how to do that. And how life is expressed from civilization to civilization may vary to a greater or lesser degree, but the core principles are the same for everyone. You may call it, meaning us here, may call it unity or universal consciousness. Our relationships and sexual expression in Telos reflect a consciousness much more evolved and mature than yours in the understanding of the various applications of love. To begin with, the curriculum of relationships is union in oneness, in an embrace of the experience of divine love. For a very long time in your dimension, relationships have been based on duality consciousness. Now we're moving away from that and toward the unity and oneness, okay? And that's not always easy. Now, dear ones, you have become weary of these types of relationships that do not work and do not fulfill your heart's desires. Your relationships, for the most part, have caused you various levels of pain and longing. You are now yearning to gain a greater understanding of relationships. Many of you are waking up to the distorted programming you hold about relationships and seeking to balance the masculine and feminine energies within your being. First of all, know that it all begins with you. Your significant other is simply a mirror for you to evolve with and learn from. No one can love you more than you love yourself, nor can you love someone else more than you love yourself. Consider this. Whenever you are looking for someone to give the love that you are not willing to give to yourself, you create a need. Okay? They don't operate that way. Telosians do not operate that way. They love themselves first. And it's not from a selfish way, it's from an aligned way and a harmonic way. Okay? But it's very interesting how subtle and simple we can create a need because we're so used to operating in duality. And we are also healing our aspects and our imprints within ourselves to return to the wholeness that exists within us, right? You must embody the appropriate balance to attract the type of relationship you yearn for, or the relationship will be based on neediness rather than oneness. This, my friends, will never work, at least not for very long. Remember that in an unsatisfying relationship, both partners mirror for each other the imbalances of neediness, of ownership, of unrealistic expectations, which I was mentioning before, control, manipulation, and so on. And I'm sure as I read that, all of us can experience, have some level of those experiences, whether we're doing that or our partner is. It's remember, it's a two-way street. We're all participating in it. You know the entire litany of complaints about relationships and your dimensions even better than we do, right? Just like I said, you know exactly what these ups and downs are within the relationships. Whenever people are whole and complete within the self, with balanced feminine and masculine energies, they are in love with themselves and do not need someone else to fulfill them emotionally. They feel whole, happy, and successful. They exude the joy of life with or without a partner. They do not feel the emptiness within the being needy and out of balance produces. Okay, and remember, we're talking about emotions here too, right? So for me, I feel emotions and our mental body go hand in hand, and it does affect our physical, right? So, and we're having the heart opening. It's a highly emotional thing to go through energetically, and it plays out, right? It plays out. So we're learning to master that piece, but it's interesting how we're also learning to master our sacral chakra, our root chakra, our heart together, right? And that also goes into our divine will and things like that. But this is now, you're seeing how our earthly world, the way we've been operating with our lower chakras, so our plexus down, we're beginning to really bridge our heart. The heart and higher heart are really beginning to be the bridge of what we need to let go of, so this divine feminine energy can continue to come in and expand. The Christ energy will continue to come in and expand, and your higher qualities will continue to come in and expand, and it'll begin to show up in your relationships and the way you are, because you have to be in your own divine union to achieve this sacred sexuality and union, this divine union within yourself and with your partner. When this balance is achieved, then and only then will the I am of your being issue the call for the right relationship to appear in your life in alignment with your desire and your present pathway. This divine union with the twin flame of your heart can manifest in your life only by the permission of your higher self. Interesting, right? So interesting. And that's according to the Telos, right? So that divine union, they do reference the twin flame energy there. I don't talk too much about the twin flame energy. However, I very much know of it and about it, and I've experienced twin flame energy. But there's this important piece to recognize this divine union within yourself, right? So I witnessed so many people get lost and fixated on twin flame energy, karmic relationships, and this and that. Okay, well, like we all have some sort of karmic relationships that play out. But when you begin to focus on going directly to source about your path, your divinity within yourself, your divine union within yourself, all those things, while purposeful, begin not to take over your focus in the same way than perhaps it did, right? Because so many of us get caught up in the lower, I say, vibrational perspective of twin flame and romanticize it, that it can it can be highly depending on where the other soul is in their evolution, they can be highly volatile relationships just as much as they can be highly harmonious. Not all twin flame relationships are sexual, right? But they can be highly creative and charged, right? And so for those two to be in union, it takes a certain, they both have to be at the same level of self-mastery to be in a harmonious union. And that's kind of what it just referred to there. When you are in your divine union, your higher self brings that partnership, the aligned partnership, to you. Okay? So, so the focus is not to be external from you, right? It's to going back to that trust and faith that your divine partner, and I feel we're all divine, but the one that we're talking about here, that sacred sexuality, will come when you're ready for it to come in. But you don't have to fixate on when's it coming, who is it, looking around the corner. And I go through that too, like, because I like being in relationship, but I want it to also be aligned with who I am. So then I let go again and go, and I continue my practice. I continue to unionize within myself. I continue my spiritual practice in that work, my light work that's within myself to do, and just trust it. Well, it's coming, right? There's no letting go of the construct of time the way I know it, and just trust it's coming. It's on its way. When I'm ready, it'll arrive in probably a way I don't even realize. Shh. Excuse me for Gus. Let me see if there's anything else. Okay, here's where there's some parts I'm skipping because that's for a different time. Oh, but this is kind of nice too. Couples spend much more time. They're talking about the quality of time. They only work 20 hours a week, which I find interesting because I know from my own personal life, I'm like, I just want to work 20 hours a week because I like time. I like to spend quality time. So there's things to consider. Maybe you're not working 20 hours a week, but you're putting energy in toward creating the quality time with your beloved, right? And yourself. It's also nurturing yourself, right? Nurturing. What are you denying yourself of? What are you denying yourself of? How are you not nurturing yourself and your relationship with you, in your relationship with your loved one, if you're currently in one? Yeah, that too is a denial, right? That too is a denial. And the creation energy, because we're talking about creation energy here. That's all sacral chakra, root chakra, like they intertwine, going into the navel. When your navel chakras are open, and into the solar plexus too, you're in that power of the 5D qualities and up. But allowing that to really come in a little bit more. Maybe perhaps this is what's the energy that's coming in with this next solstice. Summer solstice is another awakening of our divine union, our expansion of our sacral chakra energy, our expansion of our heart energy, expansion of our Christ consciousness energy. So it's not going to surprise me if even more, maybe even more twin flame like energies and partnerships come together. And then what that means, the potential for children coming in through those vessels is really high energy coming in. So how might you and other adults prepare themselves for that energy to come into the planet? Because you may be an auntie, an uncle, or a friend, or teacher, or some other aspect within the community that's going to assist in fostering these children into this world. How might you as parents also prepare yourself and your physical body and the energetics to bring that child in, right? So those of you that are already recognizing you're at a fairly high level energetically with your divine union of yourself and with your partner, and it will show up differently for all of you. You may not be using these terms that I'm using. like Christ consciousness or twin flame, just let go of the terms. Don't get too attached because it shows up in your unique way. You're going through the heart opening and embodying it naturally anyway. You'll just recognize it. You'll just recognize it because you'll be a certain calmness within yourself and in your relationship, and the way you communicate and work with each other, and still with yourself. You are honoring each other in a way that we have forgotten how to do, and that's where the Telos in their relationships, they honor the divinity in each other. They honor the divinity in each other, and when they give themselves and receive one another, because it's both giving and receiving when they unite together in the act of their sacred sexuality, all their chakras are aligned and open to each other. So you have these two divine beings coming together, and when that happens, I know for myself, having that brief window or flash of that experience, it's a beautiful energy that comes through. Like I can't even really describe the level of connectedness that it almost feels like there is no you merge energetically, you totally merge, and even the bodies feel like they're one body for a brief moment in time. And even energetically, before the physical body even touches, you're already feeling each other and feeling the love of each other. Like it's very, you don't even have to be like physically touching. It's very powerful and beautiful and sacred, highly sacred. But I think I lost that train of thought there. Oh yeah, I was honoring the divinity within each other. So that's what we're moving towards. So how might you, and those of you who are out there, recognizing, oh yeah, my wife and I, or my husband and I, we've been talking about bringing children, and what might practices and things that you might be able to do now to prepare yourself for that, energetically, spiritually, returning to your practices, right? Let go of the denial. Be okay to look at yourselves. What areas within you would like to clean up and harmonize? What are you harmonized with the sisterhood within yourself, the divinity, the divine feminine within yourself, right? And the masculine energy within yourself. Does that need some tending to, so you can take the next steps forward? Are you reconciling your past pain from past relationships? You know, because men and women have, harmed each other, even collectively in the collective too. The way some women have been abused, many, been abused, held back, considered property, still having, mutilating the genitals, so there's no pleasure, right? We have our bodies. We're allowed to experience pleasure. And when you do it in alignment and with love, it's a whole nother way of being in your creative energies. And that's also that place of recognizing when you're in creation, right? That sometimes our physical body responds and gets activated, right? Sensations happen, but doesn't necessarily mean you act sexually on them. That's the creative energy. Bring it back up into your heart, and then you recognize, you're like, oh yeah, that's not really a crush. I'm not really liking that person, and we're just in a creative project together, and it's bringing us closer together, but I really don't see myself with that person, right? Well, where do we see this often? Like in entertainment, right? People are working on projects together, then all of a sudden they're dating, right? And then it ends. Right? I see it at coworkers, right? Where people have gone through traumatic events together. I was in a first responder field. A lot of that people may connect, and then they're just then nothing, right? Because they're operating in a different way. When you begin to operate from the heart and the higher qualities, your highest aspects in alignment, you'll recognize that, and you won't do the physical act of sex because it's not a sacred union when you're doing it from a lower frequency place energetically, right? You, me, many of us, we're working toward that divine union within ourselves to bring forth the divine union in our romantic relationships in a way that we are all moving toward. It's just going to take some time and practice, a lot of unwinding and healing from some of our past experiences, and even the changing of our archetypes, right? Because we all operate through archetypal energies, and recognize that we can learn a lot by tapping into the Lumerian energy and Telos. Perhaps if Adama resonates with some of you, maybe connect with Adama and ask for his guidance, and or maybe even get the Telos book that's in volume 1, where they talk about the relationships in a higher aspect way. We're not there yet. There may be some of you out there that are there yet in the energetic qualities, but where the key is, we're working toward it. We're working toward it. We're working toward having less stress in our lives in the way we work, the way we earn income, having less worry, and that takes time to evolve collectively. But right now, perhaps the focus may be primarily maybe a couple different things, but also reconciling and harmonizing the divine feminine energy that's been, I'll say, in resistance. You might be in resistance of allowing in, because we're not taking the steps to let go. We're in denial of our past, so to speak, because we don't want to face it and we don't want to hear it. But once you do that and let go of the fear and step back into faith, and calm your own emotional waters, and get into some fresh sea, some fresh salt water, then it doesn't become scary at all, because you're not by yourself doing this. You're not by yourself doing this. You have your higher self there the whole time guiding the way. Allow God to guide the way. Allow Christ energy to come in and guide the way. Allow your heart to guide you. See, because even in this picture, that light's coming in, guiding him. The only one on this boat right now that is trusting in full faith, and look where all that light's coming in, all that light coming in, full faith, full trust, calming the seas, where for a brief moment everyone else in the boat afraid and lacked trust that they would be okay. Where return to this space when you are in your faith and trust. You allow your source, your higher light, to come in and flow. Allow your body at ease, and you're going through that active surrender as you move forward. And I think that's all I have for you tonight, because I want to go to bed. Gus is getting a little restless, and he wants to go to bed. Let me see if there's any last thing. Any last thing? I don't think so. I don't think there's anything else to share right now. Let me just see. Yeah. So just as you continue, that your stress will also lessen. And yeah, they go on to talk about marriages here too, but that will be for another time. that would be for another time. But it is definitely higher, because as you do your union, your DNA will change, and the way you walk through life change, your molecular structure, your imprint, you're reprogramming yourself. So be gentle, nurture yourself, you know, begin to bring in those healthier qualities and choices that we know we all can make better choices every day, even if it's just what you eat or how you speak, or, you know, and don't be afraid to look in the mirror and be totally truthful and honest with yourself. And then you can take the steps toward who you want to be today. Who do you want to be today? All right, much love to all of you. I hope you enjoyed this reading, and I will leave the link for Amanda Ellis's reading too, in case there's something there for you. Much love, but have a great night.